winters are changing. The climate is changing.
Just the heat domes, the heat waves.
Record for hottest day on Earth was broken again for the second day in a row.
Ice so fast it could flip.
This is climate change.
And I'm constantly part of the problem. I'm marketing consumer products to be bought over and over and over again. I'm flying all over the planet. I'm driving all over North America. I drive a snowmobile. I ride in helicopters.
I think this was such an interesting take on this issue. I feel like we really rarely get to see the take from someone who is a major or feels like they're a major part in the problem when it comes to climate crisis and fossil fuel problems. But this was such an interesting kind of devil's advocate stance. All of the people interviewed recognize that they use unnecessary fossil fuels, but they also know it's a much bigger issue than just any one of them, and the bigger issue is needing alternative fuel source. I also really love that they had the word hypocrite in all their bylines. It's such a fun little detail that I thought was really smart. It's like a commentary that we can all judge all we want, but we are all guilty of using the same unnecessary fuels and overall contributing to the problem.
It does touch a lot on like a snowboarding community or a community that exists around places where those types of activities will be taking place. But what's interesting about this documentary is because it feels like it's a conversation amongst the subjects of the doc, as opposed to us hearing their story and them talking to us. It almost feels like we're overhearing them talking to each other. And it's like an internal debate over this fossil fuel energy, how they view it. Some view it as harmful, some view it as helpful. And it really felt like this back and forth dialogue. And we are listening in on this debate and getting the information from these people who have their own personal feelings and emotions about it, and their emotions and feelings about each other based off how they feel about certain things in regards to this issue. And I thought it was just a really interesting way to frame.
Good relatable point, just for everybody, being part of the problem, but also wanting to fix the problem and, not really sure how to do that. I think a lot of people don't know how to help fix the problem. And I like how they bring up it's a systemic, solution that we need, which I agree. I think, things trickle down from the top. So if we have a better boundary and a better way to do things in general, I think people would follow it. A lot of people for the most part, and we would definitely get a healthier environment in the long run. What can we do to change the world? I think is a very great positive thing to take from this is what can you do in your own daily life? If we each take care of our own front yard, then eventually we'll have a healthier planet. I thought the music was nice and unique and beautiful shots throughout this documentary. And I like how the woman said, we feel like we created and own everything, and we don't. It's really a bigger picture we need to look at here. Solar power employs way more people. That was interesting. I like how the stats, I liked the stats that came up, and I don't know. I loved the setup and I loved the structure and the content.
It's definitely a start to admit that if you like these sports and stuff, that you're a hypocrite. And this documentary is well-rounded. It talks to all different people who are using fossil fuels while feeling guilty about it, which makes them know, but they're also trying to do the diplomatic solution, saying, okay, these things are not going away. We enjoy doing them. So what do we do? They keep moving to voting in election processes. The issue with that, though, it would really be voting on one policy issues. It's a start, which is what they mentioned, but they said there's things to do and becoming greener in your life to make up for it. It's well-rounded. It goes for it. It shows why these people feel guilty, what they're doing, why they feel like they're hypocrites, but that they're also trying to do better in their lives. It goes back and forth, and it's really well-rounded when discussing climate change on how people are hypocrites when they advocate for one thing and then do another. Because it's something that people say in the media a lot, saying, okay, you're advocating for climate change, but you're jet setting around the world. a documentary like this actually shows why, and it gives the answer to that question about there's other things to do because this is something we have to do. It's something we enjoy doing, and we don't want to live boring lives. So it actually explains the hypocrisy of it while continuing to work, which is and doing what they want, which made it a very well-rounded and educational documentary.
A very interesting question to us, when we consider ourselves as the protector of world toxin. We concerned about the climate change. We want to make our world better, but we still being a consumer, using a fuel ignited machines. We still use the natural energies for our exploitation. How could we become a true protector of nature? And it's started from the narrator of this documentary. She's a climate change activist, but she also a professional skier, using the machine that use the energy to propel her own van or whatever transport. So how can she become a full climate change activist as she wants to be? So it's about finding the balance. It's about trying to preserve the nature as much as we can while we living our life as a human. So I feel this documentary brings in this contradiction in an interesting way. We never thought about being ourselves being a villain when we want to be a good people, right? So I feel this documentary has such a good concept to go through a black and white perspective on this matter, and it's well put together, it's well shot. There's gonna be lots of scenes that you feel is breathtaking in the nature and make us want to preserve that rather than destroying it.